So I chose Vincent van Gogh to do my art presentation on, and I chose Vincent because he's one of the most famous artists that I have ever heard of, and that I knew of him before this class. Um, Personally, I found him intriguing because I heard that he cut his ear off and wanted to know some more about that because not every day you hear about someone that cuts their ear off. Um, I personally am a huge fan of Starry Night. I just wanted to know more about his other paintings and what they really meant. And when I think of Vincent van Gogh, I just think of a mysterious type of guy. I associate him and Edgar Allan Poe. Um, they just, to me, they look alike. Vincent was a post-impressionist. Um, he started with watercolors at school, and initially he was not very good. And when he did move to Nuenen after Drenthe, he trashed a lot of his paintings because he was mad and he didn't think they were good enough. Um, he was quite the selfie king. He had painted 43 self-portraits. They were usually during thoughts of deep reflection and looking in at himself, periods of time in his life. Um, uh, he felt that he was good at them, so he continued to do them. And particularly, gray felt hat, like the one I have here, is one of his most renowned paintings. I like it because the thick brushstrokes, due to the style that he used, make it very unique, and lots of other artists at this time didn't paint like that. Um, what else about him and his post-impressionist style? He was born after the impressionist style, obviously, so he couldn't be a part of that. Um, he uh, he used impasto, the style impasto, which is the thick brush marks, which mimic a sense of movement in the painting. Um, Very heavy strokes to mimic movement. Um, he ended up being a very good watercolor painter, and as you can see with these paintings, um, yeah, a very big influence on Van Gogh's life was Paul Gauguin. Um, he met Paul on November 8 in 1857 in Europe, and they wanted to live together and make art, but it it worked out. But towards the end of it, he ended up getting really mad at Paul, and so he chased him with a knife and was threatening him viciously. And Van Gogh infamously ended up cutting off his own earlobe in order to draw a more realistic self-portrait, because the one he drew was with him with one ear. After him and Gangwon split up living together, um, he sort of took a little bit of Gangwon's style, which means that he painted more realistic stuff and not surreal stuff. Success wise, um, Van Gogh was he was pretty successful, but he only sold one painting while he was alive. Um, and everybody knows him, even if you're not into art or a artistic person. Everyone knows who he is because he's one of the most famous artists, and he painted the painting Sunflowers, which is right here, and then Irises, which is right here. It's the blue flowers. I personally like Sunflowers because it has so much meaning to it. There are alive flowers and dead flowers. You can really perceive it any way you wanted to. And then with the irises, similarly to the sunflower painting, it appears to be some that are shorter than the others, maybe dead. It's really at your own interpretation. And then, of course, you have Starry Night, which is just an amazing painting overall. Van Gogh's role and importance in the art world was that he was a pioneer for the post-impressionist style. Um, Van Gogh played a key role in paving the way for modern art, and he was universally adored and loved for that. Well, not for that, but he still is today. Um, Lots of people copy his style now and use it for inspiration in their other paintings. Um, the archetypical artist persona is largely became largely a thing due to his life because he was he was mentally insane because he was in the asylum where he actually recorded some of his best work. Um, some of his most interesting facts were that he had a brother with the same name, but his brother, also named Vincent van Gogh, died at birth. Um, he was supposed to be a pastor, which was interesting because he went to school to be went to ministry school, and that ended up not working out. So he actually started painting at 27 years old, and he enjoyed painting himself because he was pretty good at it. He made 43 self-portraits, as I said earlier. He produced his best works in the asylum, which I said a few minutes ago, which is kind of unique because usually that's where crazy people go. And he just banged out paintings and just made really good paintings there. And as I alluded to it earlier, that during his success, he only sold one painting while he was alive. And lastly, another interesting fact about him is that his death was ruled as suicide, but there's a new theory that thinks it was murder and that a local teen had actually shot him in the chest.